Okay, good evening, friends. Now that is now the test paper number 4 we have completed. Test paper number 5, the official language policy of the bank. Around 50 questions are there. Anyway, we will try to cover it. Maybe that is just it requires maybe around that is 1 hour that we will discuss subsequently. Today we are going to discuss the test paper number that is 6. Talks about the balance sheet analysis, and then subsequently in the next session we'll be following up and we'll be discussing the ratio analysis. Okay. That is today we are going to see test paper number 6 already is uploaded to you. It is posted. Now we are going to see the concepts in the balance sheet and how to draw the balance sheet from various figures are given. A balance sheet consists of what type of, that is in the liabilities and assets, how they are classified, and various types of objective type questions are given. Once you understand this, we'll be taking up the ratio analysis in the next class. So from balance sheet analysis for clerical officer, few questions are being asked, including on the ratio analysis. To understand the concepts, then you'll be able to answer all the questions. Okay. So the details of assets and liabilities of a firm on a particular day is given in the balance sheet. All of you are aware there are two sides of the balance sheet. If you see the left hand side will be having the liabilities and the right hand side will be having the assets. So what is the liability? Liability is the amount the firm has to pay to others, including to its promoters. So promoters means the person who has started the business, he has brought some capital. Then after while doing the business, he gets some surplus or profit. Everything it has to be given back to the promoters. That is shown on the balance sheet as capital and reserves. Then for all others, it has borrowed from outsiders, short-term borrowings, long-term borrowings, and all those things consist of the liabilities. Similarly, the assets consist of the properties or the amount that belongs to the firm. So the liability is the amount the firm has to pay to others, including to its promoters. The liability is also called the sources of funds. So which are all the sources from where the promoters have raised resources to run the organization. So please understand, the liability is nothing but the amount the promoters have to pay, the firm has to pay to others, including to its promoters. Then the liability is also called the sources of funds of the firm. Okay. Coming to assets, assets are the amounts that belong to the firm or company, whatever you call. Assets are called the uses of funds. That is very important. You should understand the liabilities are the sources of fund, that is from where it is coming. And suppose if it has to be given back to those people, the assets are from that wherever they sourced the fund from somewhere and they have used it somewhere. So the source, the uses of funds is the assets, the source of funds is the liability. Okay, in the balance sheet, so there are various items which are that is grouped into under the liabilities. It is all the items of the liabilities is grouped into net worth, term liabilities, and current liabilities. So the major three headings of the liability side of the balance sheet is net worth. So what is net worth we are going to see, then term liabilities, then current liabilities. The asset size are classified, all the items in the asset size are brought and grouped under four headings, that is fixed assets, non-current assets, intangible assets, and current assets. So the liability side total and the asset side total should tally. That is the logic of the balance sheet. Okay. So first what you should know, the liability is the source of funds and the assets is the uses of funds. Okay. The liabilities are divided into three categories, grouped into three categories. That is the net worth, term liabilities, and the current liabilities. The assets are classified, grouped into four heads: fixed assets, non-current assets, intangible assets, and current assets. Okay. Now, what are all the things we'll be seeing now? So coming to asset side first. So I told you the asset side first, it is the fixed asset. Okay, which are all the things will come under fixed asset? So land and building, if anything is there, the firm has invested in the land and building that belongs to the firm, that is land and building. Plant and machinery, furniture and fixtures, then vehicles. So those things will come under the fixed assets. Always keep in mind, so in the balance sheet, the fixed assets are shown in the balance sheet net of depreciation. So once you purchase the assets, it goes to the balance sheet. So every year there will be a depreciation. The depreciation will be taken to the P&L, profit and loss account. So a net of depreciation only in the asset side, in the fixed assets are shown. Net of an asset means after the depreciation is subtracted. So the fixed asset shown in the balance sheet is also called net block. So there are gross block and net block. Gross block means the value of original purchase price of the fixed assets is called gross block. So whatever the depreciation, every year there should be a depreciation. There are two types of depreciation, straight line method and return down method. We will see, we'll give an example. We will discuss it that every year, as per the accounting policy, the depreciation has to be reduced from the book value of the asset, and then the net of the depreciation only will be shown in the balance sheet. So the fixed assets consist of land and building, plant and machinery, furniture and fittings, then vehicle. And the concept is fixed assets is shown in the balance sheet, net of depreciation, which is called a net block. Okay, then what is the first thing? First thing is fixed assets. What is that we saw? Then what is non-current asset? So the next headings under which the fixed, that is the asset side of the balance sheet is classified is non-current assets, which are there. So non-current assets are those assets where the firm has invested, which are repayable beyond 12 months on the date of the balance sheet. So they are called all non-current assets. Examples I am giving here. Investments in, so all investments in bank deposits. So whether the deposit is for 1 year, 2 year, 10 years, whatever may be the deposits, unless the deposit is encumbered. That is encumbered means the deposit is linked to some loan, or the deposit is given as a caution deposit. For example, you take locker. For the locker, we are taking 3 years deposit as a caution deposit, isn't it? So that is linked to your locker. Only when the locker is closed, the deposit will be released. For example, you take some guarantee. You are issuing some guarantee. You are taking deposits as the collateral for the guarantee. Or you are giving some loan. You will be taking some deposits or NSCs, etc. as collateral for the loan. So all bank deposits, unless otherwise it is encumbered, so they are all, that is, they will not come under, that is non-current assets. They are all current assets. So I will tell you again, bank deposits, irrespective the period of the deposit, unless otherwise it is mentioned they are encumbered, so they will be brought under current assets only. Why, you tell me? Even though the bank deposit is 10 years, at any time the firm can encash it. Okay, before maturity closure is that. That is why all bank deposits, so until otherwise, unless they are encumbered, they will be brought under current asset only. So now we are discussing non-current asset. Investment, that's why I mentioned here, investment made in other than bank deposits, which are due after 12 months from the date of the balance sheet. So what is the asset? Asset is the users of funds. The firm has invested, they have sourced from somewhere, and they have invested in various places. So all those investments will be available back to the firm only if the firm closes the business, only after 12 months of that particular. For example, today is the balance sheet date, that is 31st December. So the assets given in the balance sheet, the non-current assets, all the assets which the firm can get only after 12 months from the date of the balance sheet will be brought under non-current assets, other than bank deposits. Bank deposits, even though if it is for 10 years, it will not be brought under non-current assets. Okay. Investments, suppose if the investment in bank fixed deposits which are encumbered, they will brought under non-current assets. For example, margin. So deposit is given as a margin. Tax saver, you know, it is invested for 5 years, isn't it? Before maturity closure is not permitted until the depositor dies. So locker, deposits are encumbered to locker. So these type of deposits will be brought under non-current assets. Then sundry debtors. What is sundry debtors? So the firm has sold some items on credit basis to somebody. That person has to give money to the firm. Okay, those people are called sundry debtors. Okay, similarly, bills receivable. The firm will raise a bill on somebody for giving some goods. The bill money has to come to the firm. So, sundry debtors, bills receivables, and and non-moving stocks which are more than 6 months old as on the date of the balance sheet has to be classified as non-current asset. So now we are discussing about that the various heads in the balance sheet. So liability side and asset side. We started with the liabilities called the source of funds. The asset is the use of funds. So the assets are divided into fixed assets, non-current assets, intangible assets, and finally you have current asset. So fixed assets, I told you which are all fixed assets. Fixed assets should be shown in the balance sheet net of depreciation. So that is called a net block. Then under non-current assets, the assets which that is investment made in the various items in the bank, which are in the various items, which the firm will do after 12 months from the date of the balance sheet, other than bank deposits. On the other hand, if the bank deposits is encumbered to something, that is also will be brought under non-current asset. Similarly, the sundry debtors, bills receivable, and non-moving stocks and raw materials which are more than 6 months old on the date of the balance sheet also has to be classified under non-current assets. Why I am telling, we are going to have an example there in the exam they will give which is a non-current that is asset item. For options you give, you have to take the correct option. That is why these things concepts you should understand. So sundry debtors, bills receivable, and non-moving stocks which are more than 6 months old on the date of the balance sheet to be classified as non-current assets. Similarly, investment in unquoted shares and securities, investment in sister and allied concerns, and security deposit given to somebody, they are all called non-current asset. Investment in unquoted shares and securities means what? So for example, you take mutual fund. So some of the mutual fund schemes or they have the lock-in period. So you cannot encash before 3 years or 5 years. Okay, so investment like that. For example, there are various shares that is raised by the companies which are not quoted in the market. So if you want, you cannot get back the money. You have to wait for the certain period. So investments in unquoted shares and securities, so that which is not tradable in the market. For example, sovereign gold bond, you can trade in the market, isn't it? So investment in unquoted shares and securities, which cannot be traded in the market, which cannot be marketable immediately, that has to be brought under non-current assets. In the company would have invested in sister and allied concerns, some deposits they would have made there, that also you have to bring under non-current asset only. Then secure, for example, EB, security deposit they would have made. For somewhere they would have made some security deposit. So all those things have to be brought under non-current assets. Then first we saw about fixed assets, net block, that is excluding depreciation. That is, you have to remove depreciation, then you have to give the fixed asset. Then we saw non-current assets, which are payable after 12 months from the date of balance sheet. Examples we have seen. Then intangible assets. Intangible assets are just, that is preliminary expenses, pre-operative expenses, goodwill, patent right, trademark, the accumulated loss. So friends, so there's a preliminary expenses, pre-operative, which are all things yet to be capitalized. Just to note it down, preliminary expenses, pre-operative goodwill. So the firm would raise a certain goodwill in the market. So they will show in the asset side and they will as okay. So goodwill, then patent rights, some trademark. So they will get, it is an imaginary asset. It is an imaginary asset. We call it as intangible asset. Accumulated loss. See, whenever there is the company at the end of the year, if the firm is getting a profit, it will be shown in the balance sheet, that is resource and surplus. Okay, resource and surplus will come there. Liability side will come. Suppose if the firm is incurring a loss, they will not, that is, bring it down from the capital of the promoters. Instead of that, they will show under the asset side as accumulated loss, because suppose based on the accumulated loss, they can claim some tax exemption from the government. So again, I repeat. So at the end of the year, when you are closing the profit and loss account, if it is a profit, it will go and get added up to the capital. Capital plus resource and surplus. Under resource and surplus, it will go. At the end of the year, the profit and loss account shows a loss. They will not take to capital and reduce the capital and show less capital. Instead of that, they will show under intangible asset under a head called accumulated loss. Because why they are not reducing the capital and showing the accumulated loss in the intangible asset, they will get some tax exemption, tax hopes from the government. So these are all the items shown in the intangible assets. So fixed assets we saw, non-current assets we saw, then intangible assets now we have seen. Now current asset. So what is non-current asset? Opposite to that is the current asset. So we saw what is non-current asset now, which the firm will get after 12 months from the date of balance sheet. If it is going to get within 12 months from the date of balance sheet, it is called the current asset. Current assets which can be in cash within 12 months from the date of balance sheet. Cash and bank balance. Cash and bank balance. So unencumbered fixed deposit with the bank of any maturity. So if it is encumbered, it will go to non-current asset. If it is not encumbered, whatever may be the maturity period, that will be shown in the current asset. Prepaid expenses. What do you mean by prepaid expenses? In advance payment, something would have been paid. Maybe you would have paid for next 5 years some advance rent or some expenses we would have paid that. So suppose if you are going to close down the business, you will get it back from them, isn't it? It is also an asset. So prepaid expenses already you have paid for that. If the expenses is not going to incur, you will be getting it back. Then stock and raw materials which are not more than 6 months old. So I told you if it is 6 months old, more than 6 months old, stocks, bills receivables, sundry debtors. If it is more than 6 months old, it has to be shown under the non-current assets. If they are less than 6 months old, they will be shown in the current assets. Okay. So sundry debtors and bills receivable within 6 months on the date of the balance sheet, they are brought under current assets. Investments in quoted securities. What do you mean by investment in quoted securities and shares? Immediately they can encash in the market. They're all tradable. If it is unquoted, it is that is non-current assets. If it is quoted, current, immediately they can get. They need not wait for 12 months. Okay, that is which are all get which they will get within 12 months is called the current asset. Investments other than in bank deposits due within next 12 months. So under current asset, you are going to have, so current assets which can be encashed within 12 months from the date of the balance sheet. Cash and bank balances, then unencumbered fixed deposit with a bank of any maturity, very important, unencumbered. Prepaid expenses, then stocks and for the manufacturing raw materials also. Stocks, raw materials which are not more than 6 months old, then sundry debtors and bills receivable within 6 months as on the date of the balance sheet. Investment in quoted securities and shares. Investments in other than bank deposits due within next 12 months. For example, he has invested in Muthoot Finance. So 10 years back he has invested, but next within 12 months it is due for, it is going to mature, that you can take. In the case of a bank deposit, even though the period is 10 years, you can take under current assets as long as the deposit is not, that is encumbered. Okay, friends, these are all the current assets in the balance sheet. So fixed assets, that is net of depreciation, then non-current assets, which are firm will get after 12 months from the date of the balance sheet. Then intangible assets, including accumulated loss, will come under intangible asset. And finally, the current assets, which are within 12 months. Okay, current assets. Then, so what is the liability side? First, I told you. So in the case of a balance sheet, the asset sides are fixed assets, non-current assets, intangible assets, and current assets, the total. So it is the use of funds. From somewhere the firm has raised the fund, which is shown in the liability side, and it is used in the, that is for the firm's business. So liabilities are the sources of funds, asset is the use of funds. Then asset liability, so we have seen assets are classified into how many heads, we have explained that. Now liabilities, and liabilities are classified into 3 headings: net worth, term liabilities, and current liabilities. Okay, we'll go there, which are all included there. See, liability side of a balance sheet. So net worth, then term liability and the current liability. So liability side consists of three headings: net worth, term liability, and the current liability. Okay, that's all. Suppose if they ask in the exam. So the balance sheet, in the balance sheet, the liability side items are classified or grouped into how many categories? So you should know immediately: net worth, term liability, and current liability. What are they? We are going to see now. What is net worth? Net worth is nothing but the money brought in by the promoters and due to them, that is the capital. Net worth is capital. Not only capital, suppose every year at the end of the business, if the P&L is showing a profit, that will be brought under reserves and surplus. Okay, in the balance sheet. So net worth means capital plus reserves and surplus. Reserves and surplus is for after doing the business, the profit the company is having at the end of the year, it will come and show along with the capital. So net worth is capital plus resource and surplus. If it is loss, it will not be reduced from the net capital. It will be shown as intangible assets as accumulated loss. Keep that in mind. Okay, net worth. The money brought by the promoters and due to them, that is capital. So resource and surplus generated from the business. So capital and resource and surplus both put together is net worth. So there is a concept called tangible net worth. Okay, so that I have not given here. Anyhow, you know it. When we come to the ratio analysis, we will see that. So don't confuse tangible net worth with resource and surplus. Tangible net worth is capital plus resource and surplus. Resource and surplus is generated from the business. So capital and resource and surplus both put together is net worth. So tangible net worth is capital plus resource and surplus. Resource and surplus is generated by the business, raised by the firm, like term loan, bonds, debentures, etc., repayable beyond 12 months as on the date of the balance sheet. They are called term liability. Then, okay, term loans from banks and financial institutions, bonds, debentures, unsecured loans. They raised many loans which are beyond 12 months. Repayable beyond 12 months are called term liability. Then current liability. So the firm has to pay these liabilities within 12 months of the balance sheet. So they are called current liability. What are they? Bank OD/OCC. It is called as a current liability. Then term loan installment due in the next 12 months. So the term loan installment, whether the term loan is taken from the bank or taken from any financial institution, when the term loan installment next to 1 year, what are all the term loan installments the company has to pay, that also should be brought under the current liability. Okay, bank OD/OCC, the entire term loan need not be brought under current liability. Generally, the total term loan liability will be brought under term liability. But out of the term liability, if any installments are due in the next 12 months, that will be shown as current liability. Okay, term loan installments due in the next 12 months is a current liability. Debentures and bonds due for payment within 12 months. So generally, debentures on payable beyond 12 months is a term liability. So within 12 months, if it is repayable, you have to bring under current liability. Then sundry creditors and bills payable. What is sundry creditors? So sundry creditors, suppose the company or the firm has borrowed on credit, that is gone, for example, stocks, raw materials. The firm buys the raw materials on credit basis. From whom they have taken the items on credit basis, those people are called sundry creditors. There, we distinguish between non-current assets and current assets. Do you remember? Sundry debtors, which are more than 6 months old, will be classified as non-current assets. Sundry debtors and bills payable, bills receivable, sundry debtors and bills receivable, etc., which are more than 6 months will be classified as non-current assets. If they are less than 6 months, they will be classified as current asset. But coming to the sundry creditors, bills payable, whether it is within 6 months or more than 6 months, all those things have to be shown in the current liability only. Okay, sundry creditors and bills payable, irrespective of the period, they have to be shown in the current liability. Then provisions made by the firm has to be shown in the current liability. So advances, if they have received, that is advance payment, we showed there as current assets. Current assets. Now advances, if they received anything from somebody, so they have to give back within 12 months, that will be shown under current liability. Unpaid dividend of the firm will be shown as current liability. Okay, sir. Now, you got the point. What is a balance sheet, a liability side and asset side? Liabilities is called the source of funds. The asset is called the use of funds. Liability is divided into three heads: net worth, then term liability and current liability. Assets are divided into four headings: fixed assets, non-current assets, intangible assets, and then current assets. The total of the liability side should tally with the total of the asset side. The total of the liability side is called the total sources of funds. The total of the liability side of the balance sheet is called total sources of funds for a firm or for a company. The assets are the users of funds. Okay, the total sources should tally with the total assets. That means the liability side should tally with the asset side of the balance sheet, which will come where we have seen. Okay, sir. Quickly we'll go through. Now, I told you the liability side is that is source and the asset side is the use, isn't it? Okay. Now, what liability side consists of? Liability side consists of net worth, then you have term liability, and then you have current liability. So all the three put together is called total sources. Total sources. In the total sources, we divide them into long-term sources and short-term sources. Again, I repeat, the liability side of the balance sheet is called total sources for the firm. So which are all the total sources? Net worth, then your term liability, and then current liability. All the three put together is called total sources. The total sources is divided into long-term sources and short-term sources. Which is long-term source, which is short-term source? I'm going to show with the example. The liability side consists of net worth, term liability, and current liability. The liability side is a source of funds. Total net worth and term liabilities. So I told you, liability side consists of net worth, then term liability and current liability. Net worth plus term liability is called long-term sources. Again, I repeat, net worth plus that is term liability, which is payable beyond 12 months, isn't it? Net worth plus term liability is called long-term sources of funds. Current liability is called short-term sources. Okay, for example, the liability, net worth is 50, term liability is 100, then current liability is 25. Let us assume in the balance sheet. So the net worth and term liability is called long-term sources. So 50 plus 100, 150 is the long-term sources. Then current liability 25 is the short-term source. Okay, the long-term sources is nothing but the net worth plus term liability. This is called a long-term source. So 50 plus 100. Then the current liability, which is 25, is called the short-term source. So the total sources is the liability side, that is divided into long-term source and short-term source. Long-term source means that is net worth plus long-term liabilities. You know what is net worth. You know now what is a long-term liability. Now, we will go to asset side. Similarly, asset is the uses of funds, long-term uses and short-term uses. In the exam, like these type of questions, they will give you. They will ask you to classify. The asset side consists of fixed assets, non-current assets, intangible assets, and current assets. You already know. The asset side is the uses of funds, that also you know. Total of fixed assets, non-current assets, and intangible assets are called long-term uses of the firm, and current assets is called short-term uses. For example, fixed asset is there in the balance sheet, non-current asset is there, intangible asset is there. If it is 10, 20, and 5, all the three put together is called long-term uses. I told you total assets is the total uses. Out of the total uses, now you are classifying into long-term uses and short-term uses. The long-term uses is nothing but your fixed assets, non-current assets, intangible assets. 10, 25, that is 35 is the long-term source. So the current assets, when if it is shown as 10 in the balance sheet, that will be classified as short-term uses or uses. So the liability is the source. So total, that is liability side is the total, that is the source of the firm. So which is divided into long-term source and short-term source. Long-term source is nothing but net worth plus term liability. Short-term source is nothing but the current liability. Similarly, the asset side is classified into fixed assets, non-current assets, intangible assets, and current assets. So the first three, that is fixed assets, non-current assets, intangible assets, all the three are called long-term uses of the firm. Then the current assets is called short-term uses of the firm. Okay, sir, they'll give you the balance sheet. They'll ask you to classify short-term source, long-term source. You should be able to write. So, okay, quickly we'll see. So, gross block. Gross, I told you there is a concept called gross block and net block. So, net block is nothing but your fixed assets less depreciation. The fixed assets shown in the balance sheet always should be less of depreciation. Okay, that is called net block. So the total purchase price of the fixed asset is called the gross block. There are two methods of depreciation. If they ask in the exam, you should not miss it. Depreciation, straight line method, and written down method. So how the depreciation is made every year for the wear and tear for the fixed assets, the firm has to reduce the value from the book value, from the original value. So there are two methods of that is your fixed assets depreciation. One is called straight line method. The other is called written down method. What is straight line method? I will explain. Value of fixed asset is rupees 20 lakhs. Let us assume the firm has purchased a vehicle for 20 lakhs, original price. Depreciation is 20%. Let us assume depreciation every year to be made is 20%. Calculate depreciation for 3 years under both methods. There are what methods are there? Straight line method and written down method. Suppose straight line method. The straight line method, so you take the price, the original cost price is 20 lakhs on the 20%. So 20 lakhs on the 20% comes to 4 lakhs. So next year also on the same 20 lakhs only, we will calculate 20%. That is, so in the case of a straight line method, we take the cost of the fixed assets as the base. Every year on that 20%, we will reduce. So that is, first year, the fixed asset, if it is straight line method, if it is 20%, it is 4 lakhs. Second year also, we will take 20 and then 20%, 4 lakhs. Like that, we will make in the straight line method. But in the return down value method, first year is 20% on 20 lakhs. Correct, 4 lakhs. First year, the straight line method and the return down value method will tally. But second year, what happens, you see, for the return down value, what we will do, first year we have kept 4 lakhs as the depreciation. So the book value is 20 lakhs. 20 minus 4, 16. In the second year, under the return down value method, we will not calculate 20% depreciation on the cost price. Return down what is the price, that is book value in the previous year. So originally when you purchase 20 lakhs, first year depreciation is 4 lakhs. So the return down value at the end of the first year is 16 lakhs. On that 16 lakhs, we will calculate 20%. So which will come to 3.20 lakhs. Third year, what you will do? So from that is from 20 plus 4, 16 it has come. So from 16, we will reduce 3.20 on the balance of 12.80. We will calculate 20% depreciation. It comes to 2.56. So in the case of a straight line method, every year it is the same. What is the original price? On that every year 20%, 20%. In the return down value, you will reduce the value first year. Second year, on the reduced value, you calculate depreciation. Then you reduce the price. Then third year, on the further reduced amount, you calculate the depreciation. So this is the difference between straight line method and return down method of depreciation. Okay, sir. Okay, now we are going to see the question paper now. Okay, so I explained to you the concepts. Now let's go in detail the question paper. So already the test paper number 6 is made available to you. So now we are discussing test paper number, cancel. Sorry. Now we are going to discuss the test paper number 6. So I have given the answers here. So we will see the question and what we have discussed, you can hear. For balance sheet purpose, liabilities are divided into how many categories? That is my question. So you know, for balance sheet purpose, the liabilities are classified into 3 categories. What are they? Net worth, term liabilities, and current liabilities. This I have explained to you. So net worth, term liability, and current liability. What is net worth, sir? Next question. Capital and reserves. So capital plus resource and surplus is called as net worth. So this all again repetition of what I have explained. You should go in your mind. Capital and resource and surplus is called net worth. Liabilities payable beyond 12 months. Liabilities payable beyond 12 months is called term liabilities that we have seen. Total liabilities are also known as, I told you, the total liabilities in the balance sheet is called the total sources of funds. Total liabilities are also known as sources of funds. Then net worth from term liability, I told you. So capital and reserve is called net worth. Then you have term liability. Then you have current liability. The total liabilities is called total sources of funds. I also told you the first 2 items, that is a net worth, then the term liability put together is called long-term source. Net worth plus term liability is called long-term source. Then what is a short-term source? Current assets, current liability. So very simple, friends. So you have the balance sheet. Balance sheet items are classified into liabilities and assets. Liabilities, you have net worth. Then you have the other concept called term liability. Then you have current liability. The total of all the 3 is called total sources of funds. So the first 2, that is net worth and term liability, is called long-term sources. Then the current liability is called the short-term sources. Very clear, isn't it? No confusion at all, no ambiguity. You can ask me, you can put me questions in my WhatsApp, I will answer. Then question number 7, you see. Now you see, you should be able to answer the question. Question number 7. Okay. Which is shown in the liability side of your balance sheet? Which is shown in the liability side of the balance sheet? Accumulated loss. Where it is shown, sir? Accumulated loss is an intangible asset. So it is not shown in the balance sheet, liability side. No. Then uses of funds. Whether uses of funds is the liabilities or no. Uses of funds is the asset. Leave it. Then pre-operative expenses. What is pre-operative expenses? It is an intangible asset, visa, isn't it? So it is not in the liability side. Then sources of funds. All the sources of funds is shown in the liability side. What are they? Net worth, then term liability, and then current liability. So our question number 7, the answer is D. Please note it down. For question number 7, the answer is D. So if you understand the concepts, any questions you can write. Okay, any answer you can write for any question. So the accumulated loss is shown in the intangible asset. It is asset side. No, so it will not come. Uses of funds is the asset side. So what is uses? Total assets is called the uses. Then pre-operative expenses, it is a intangible asset. So again, it is an asset. Then sources of funds is the liability. All sources of funds is shown in the liability side of the balance sheet. Question number 7, answer is D. Question number 7, answer is D. Question number 8. Which one is not a source of funds for a business unit? How they are asking the question, you see. Which one is not a source of funds? What is a source of funds? That is net worth, term liability, and current liability are the sources of funds. What will come under net worth? What will come under current this term liability? What will come under current liability? I already explained. All the three is called sources of funds. The question is, which one is not a source of funds for the business activity? Promoters fund. It is a source. No, promoters fund is nothing but capital. It is a source. Okay. Then unsecured loans from friends and relatives. It is a term liability. I told you unsecured loans raised by the firm is a term liability. It is a source. So the question is, which is not a source? So B is also not your answer. Then investment made in associate companies, that is also a source. That is also a source, isn't it? Investment made in associate company is not a source, it is a use. So he has raised the sources and made some investment. It is a non-current asset. It is a non-current asset. So promoters fund is net worth capital, which is a source. Then unsecured loans from friends and relatives, it is a term liability. It is a source. Investments made in that is associate companies, it is a non-current asset. Okay, that is an asset. Then secured loan, again it is a source. Question is, which one is not a source of funds for the business unit? Answer is C. That is, investments made in associate companies is not a source, it is a use. So question number 8, answer is C. Question number 9, which is odd man in respect of current liability? That means which is not a current liability. So which is not, instead of asking the question which is not a current liability, they are asking you to tick the odd man, which is not a current liability. Let us see. Bank OD. I told you bank OD is a current liability. Okay. Then provisions. Provisions also a current liability. Unpaid dividends. I told you it is a current liability. Accumulated loss. What is accumulated loss, sir? Where you have to classify in the balance sheet? Intangible assets. So the question is, which is an odd man out in respect of current liability? Bank OD is a current liability. Provisions is a current liability. Unpaid dividends is a current liability. Accumulated loss is intangible assets. Then term loan installment due within next 1 year. Option number E. I told you the entire term loan is a term loan liability, but term loan installments due within next 1 year is a current liability. So your answer for question number 9 is accumulated loss. So question number 9, answer is D. Question number 10. Assets in your balance sheet are classified into how many categories? So we saw first what are the things classified in the balance sheet liability side. Now assets in the balance sheet are classified into how many categories? You know very well, 4. What are they? Fixed assets, non-current assets, intangible assets, and current assets. All the 4 put together is called total, that is uses of funds. All the 4 put together is called total uses of funds. All the 4 are called total, that is uses of funds. Assets in the balance sheet are classified into 4. Question number 11. Total uses of funds. Total uses of funds is also called total assets. Okay, total liabilities, total sources. Similarly, total uses of funds is called total assets. Very simple. Then question number 12. Fixed asset plus non-current asset plus intangible asset. It is a long-term source. Okay, I told you total of asset side is called total uses. So what is a long-term use? That is fixed assets, non-current assets, and intangible assets. They are called long-term uses. Very simple. Short-term use is also known as current asset. Short-term use is called current asset. Okay, sir, very simple. You understand the logic, you'll answer all the questions. Then question number 14. So let us see. Value of a fixed asset is rupees 20 lakhs. Required depreciation is 20%. We saw the example, no? Calculate the depreciation for the second year under straight line method as well as written down value method. So straight line method or the written down value method, first year it is 4. So 20% on 20 lakhs. Second year, what is the straight line method, sir? Second year on the straight line method also it is 4. But second year on the return down value, what it is, sir? 20 minus 4 first year 16. On that 16, you have to calculate 20%, which is 3.20 lakhs. So answer for question number 14 is 4 lakhs and then 3.20 lakhs. How it is arrived? I showed you the PowerPoint. I will upload the PowerPoint also. Then question number 15. Prepaid expenses. Prepaid expenses are shown in the balance sheet. What is a prepaid expenses? You are paid in advance. You are paid in advance, isn't it? It is money belongs to you. For example, Indian Express. Indian Express. So annual subscription is also there. Annual subscription is also there. For example, locker. For your locker, you are taking for 1 year deposits or 1 year rent in advance, isn't it? After 3 months or 2 months, he comes and closes. For 1 quarter, you will subtract. For remaining 9 months, you will reimburse to him. That is a prepaid expense. Prepaid advance he has made. So prepaid expenses are shown in the balance sheet. The money should come to him as current assets. Prepaid expenses are shown in the balance sheet as current assets. Question number 16. Which one of the following has to be classified as current asset? You think of it and you tell me. I don't want to tell. Which one of the following has to be classified as current asset? Pre-operative expenses, trade creditors, preliminary expenses, none of these. Friends, you know pre-operative expenses and the preliminary expenses, they are called intangible assets. So there is a difference between prepaid expense and pre-operative expense. Don't confuse both. Prepaid expense is a current asset. Prepaid expense is a current asset. Pre-operative expenses and preliminary expenses. That what do you mean by pre-operative and preliminary expenses? Before commencement of the business, some expenditure is incurred there. That is called pre-operative and preliminary expenses. So prepaid expenses, after you have started business, you have made some, that is advance payment. So that is called prepaid expenses. Don't worry about it. So prepaid is a current asset, whereas pre-operative and preliminary expenses, they are called the intangible asset. So what the question is, which one of the following has to be classified as current asset? What do you mean by trade creditors? Trade creditors is nothing but your sundry, that is sundry creditors. Okay, trade creditors is that sundry creditors. Sundry creditors means what? Whether it is a current asset or current liabilities are sundry creditor. Sundry creditor, a sundry creditor is nothing but trade creditor. That means you have purchased something on credit basis. You have to give the money to him. So sundry creditors are current liability. So sundry creditors or trade creditors or trade receivables or bills, trade bills payable. So sundry creditors or trade creditors or bills payable, whether within 6 months or more than 6 months, you have to show them only under current liability. I told you, no? So whereas sundry debtors, bills payable, bills receivable. So those things within 6 months you have to show under current asset. More than 6 months you have to show under non-current asset. But sundry creditors or trade creditors or bills payable, that is the money the firm has to pay. Sundry creditors, trade creditors, the money the firm has to pay. It has borrowed on credit, purchased on credit basis. So they are all current liability. The question is, which one of the following has to be classified as current asset? Pre-operative expenses, it is an intangible asset. Trade creditors is a current liability. Preliminary expenses is an intangible asset. None of these. Your option is B, none of these. None of them will be classified as current asset. Then question number 17. Accumulated losses are shown in the balance sheet as intangible asset. Again and again, I am telling the reserves and surplus, the profit will be taken to net worth. Whereas if there is a loss, it will be shown as accumulated loss under intangible assets in the balance sheet, because the firm can claim some IT income tax exemption from the accumulated loss. So accumulated loss are shown in the balance sheet as intangible assets. Then question number 18. Which one of the following is not considered as intangible asset? Okay, so which is not an intangible asset? You have to tell. Preliminary expenses, pre-operative expenses, Debit balance in P&L account, prepaid expenses, none of these. You see, everything they're giving confusion to you. Primary expenses is an intangible asset. The question is, which is not considered as an intangible asset? Preliminary expenses is an intangible asset. Pre-operative expenses, it is an intangible asset. Debit balance in P&L account. What is debit balance in P&L account? Accumulated loss. Debit balance in P&L account is accumulated loss. Credit balance in P&L account is reserves and surplus. Okay, debit balance in P&L account it is an intangible asset. Then prepaid expenses, it is a current asset. So which is not considered as intangible asset? Point number D. Question number 18, point number D is not considered as intangible assets. Question number 19. So let us see what you are going to do. Total liabilities are 4 lakhs. Fixed asset is 1.4. So I think I expect all of you to keep a paper and pen to sit before the class. We expect our, that is elders children or our children for the online class to sit before the classes, paper and pen. No, like that you should sit. Then you can work out. Total liabilities rupees 4 lakhs. Fixed asset is 1.40 lakhs and non-current and intangible assets are 0.40 lakhs. What is current asset? So what they are given, sir? Total liabilities they are given. Okay. Fixed assets they are given. And then they are given non-current and intangible assets they are given. Then they are asking you current assets. Very simple. Say the answer is 2.20. How it has come, you should know. Say if total liability is 4 lakhs, what is the total assets, sir? 4 lakhs, isn't it? If total liability is 4 lakhs, sorry, if the total liability is 4 lakhs, then the total assets also should be 4 lakhs. The balance sheet to tally. Total sources should tally with the total uses, isn't it? So they are given total liability. Then what they are given? They are given component of the asset side. They are given the total liability. They are given the component of the asset side. So when they give the total liability as 4 lakhs, the total asset is also 4 lakhs. Okay. Then asset is classified into how many categories? Fixed assets, non-current assets, intangible assets, and current assets. They are given fixed assets. How much they are given fixed assets? They are given 1.40. They are given non-current and intangible assets 0.40. So 1.40 plus 1.40, 1.80. Total asset is given 4 lakhs. So that is fixed asset, non-current and intangible is 1.80. So what is the current asset? The balance, the difference between all these three is the current asset. No, 4 minus 1.40 minus 40, 2.20 is the current asset. So this question they asked last time. Total liability is 4 lakhs. Fixed asset is 1.40. That is, and non-current and intangible assets are 0.40. Calculate the current asset. Answer is 2.20. How it has come? If total liability is 4 lakhs, total asset must be 4 lakhs. Fixed asset 1.40. Non-current and intangible is 4.40. So that is non-current and intangible is 0.40. So what is the current asset is equal to? Current asset is equal to total asset minus fixed asset plus non-current and intangible. Total asset is 4. How you got total asset is 4? Because total liability is 4. Total asset also should tally. So 4 minus 1.40 plus 0.40, that is 1.80. The answer should be 2.20. So question number 19, the answer is 2.20. Question number 20. Prepaid insurance. Prepaid insurance is shown in the balance sheet. So what is prepaid insurance? Prepaid expenses. I told you, it is nothing but prepaid in advance. No, for 1 year, you are paying insurance premium. In between, if you want to come out, if you want to go and join some other insurance company, for example, you are having a car, let us assume. You have taken 1 year insurance from some Bajaj, that is insurance. Bajaj Alliance. So if their services is you are not satisfied, you can give a notice to them. They will give you the refund for the balance 10 months. 2 months already over. Balance 10 months they will give. You can take fresh from some other insurance company. It is a prepaid expense. So prepaid expense or prepaid insurance is a prepaid expense. Prepaid expenses are current assets. You already know. Question number 20, answer is current asset. Question number 21. Which among the following is not a use of funds by a business unit? What is uses or asset? Okay, the moment in the question paper you saw use or source, immediately you should stuck you whether it is an asset or liability. Use is an asset. Okay, which among the following is not a use of funds, which is not an asset they are asking. Very simple. Loss from operation, whether it is asset or liability, sir. Loss from operation is accumulated loss. What is that? That is intangible asset. That is intangible asset. So they are asking, so whether intangible asset is a use or source, sir, assets or uses. So the question is which is not a use. So A is not correct. Then B, profit from operation. What is profit from operations, sir? It is reserves and surplus. Whether it is use or source, sir. So reserve, whether it is profit from operation, resource and surplus, it is a source. It is a source, isn't it? What is the question? Which is not a use of funds by business unit. So B is not the use of funds. It is a source of funds. Then there is investment in subsidiary companies. It is a non-current asset. It is asset is a use. It is not a source. The question is which is not a use. So C is a use. Advance tax paid. Advance tax paid is a prepaid expenses. That is also current asset, which is a use. So please read the question. Which among the following is not a use of funds? That is, which among the following is not use of funds? Which among the following is not an asset? Which among the following is a liability? That is a question. So borrower's net worth is a liability. That is which among the following is not use of funds? That is loss from the question number 21. Loss from the operation, it is an asset. Then profit from operation, it is a liability. Investment in subsidiary companies, it is an asset. Advance tax paid, it is an asset. So A, C, and D, they are all uses of funds. And B, it is a liability, which is a source of funds. So which among the following is not a use of funds? B is not a use of funds. B is the source of funds. Question number 21, answer is B. Question number 22. Analysis of financial statement will not reveal which of the following. When you analyze the financial statement balance sheet, it will not reveal which one. Borrower's net worth, availability of collateral, repayment capacity, earning capacity. Borrower's net worth, you can find out. Then availability of collateral for a loan, you cannot find out in the balance sheet. Analysis of financial statement will not reveal the availability of collateral. So, okay, so it will give what is a loan the company has taken, but what is the collateral given to it. So you may not be able to find out from the balance sheet or P&L account. So answer for question number 22 is B. Question number 23. Which among the following is a current asset? Which among the following is a current asset? Investment in unquoted shares. Friends, I told you investment in unquoted shares is a non-current asset. Only if it is a quoted shares, it is a current asset. Investment in unquoted shares, no. Then bank deposits for 10 years. So if they have mentioned bank deposit for 10 years encumbered, then it is not a current asset. Even though it is bank deposit for 10 years, you have to say it is an unencumbered deposit. So bank deposits of any maturity, which is not encumbered, bank deposits of any maturity, which is not encumbered, is a current liability. Sorry, it's a current asset. Bank deposits of any maturity, which is not encumbered, is a current asset. Which among the following is a current asset? B is the current asset. Let us see whether C is the current asset. Investment in subsidiary company, no, non-current asset. Investment in allied company, non-current asset. Encumbered bank deposits repayable in 1 year. Even though it is repayable in 1 year, it is not a current asset because it is encumbered to something else. So, which question number 23, which among the following is a current asset? So, answer is B, bank deposits for 10 years is a current asset. bank deposits for 10 years. So what we generally saw, what is a current asset, which we will get within 12 months. But in the case of bank deposits, even though it is more than 12 months, even though it is 10 years or 8 years, since before maturity closure is permitted, we bring all bank deposits irrespective of the maturity under current asset until otherwise they are encumbered to some loans. Okay, sir. Question number 23, answer is B. Question number 24, investment in bank fixed deposit with lien to the guarantee issued to the firm is non-current asset. Is dash asset of the firm. I told you, if the deposit is linked to as a guarantee or lien encumbered, then it is a non-current asset. Question number 24, answer is B. Question number 25, which among the following is not an intangible asset? Which among the following is not an intangible asset? Preliminary expenses, it is an intangible asset. Pre-operative expenses, it is an intangible asset. Prepaid expenses, no, it is a prepaid expense, a current asset. Accumulated loss is an intangible asset. So which is not an intangible asset? Answer is C. Question number 26. Which among the following statement is not correct? Old, absolute, non-moving stock, 6 months old or non-current assets. Correct. Installments of term loans due within 12 months or current liabilities. Correct. Prepaid expenses or current assets. Correct. Investment in quoted securities is non-current asset. No. Investment in quoted securities is current asset. I told you. So which among the following statement is not correct? Old, absolute, non-moving stock, 6 months old or non-correct assets. Correct. So they are asking which is not correct. Installment of term loans due within 12 months or current liabilities. Correct. Prepaid expenses or current assets. Correct. Investments in quoted securities is non-current asset. No. Investment in quoted, that is securities or current assets. So the D is not correct. Point B, let us see. Debentures due within next to 12 months are not term liabilities. Correct. Debentures due within 12 months are called current liabilities. So they are not term liabilities. So DE is also correct. Which is not correct? Question number 26, answer is D. Which is not correct? Question number 26, answer is D. Question number 27. Which among the following is a current asset? Which among the following is a current asset? Investment in marketable shares. It is a current asset. Good. Patent rights. Patent rights is an intangible asset. Intellectual property rights. It is an intangible asset. None of these. The question is, which among the following is a current asset? Investment in marketable shares is a current asset. Question number 27, answer is A. Question number 28. Which among the following is not an intangible asset? Licenses. It is an intangible asset. Copyrights, intangible assets. Mining rights, intangible assets. Designs, intangible assets. Now, what is the question? Which among the following is not an intangible assets? All are intangible assets. So none of these. Question number 28, answer is E. Question number 28, answer is E. Question number 29. Which among the following is not a current asset? Trade receivables. What do you mean by trade receivables, sir? Sundry debtors, the money you have to get. Trade receivables. So stores and spares, loose tools, none of the above. So what is a current asset? What is a current asset? Trade receivables is a current. So if they are mentioned more than 6 months, it is not a current asset. If they are not mentioned anything, that is sundry debtors or trade receivable or bills receivable, if they are not mentioned anything about the period, you have to take it as a current asset only. If they are mentioned payable with beyond 6 months, receivable beyond 6 months, then you have to consider it as a non-current asset. Here what they are given, trade receivables. So when they are given blankly trade receivables or sundry debtors, you have to assume it is within 6 months and you have to show as current asset only. Which among the following is not a current asset? Trade receivables is a current asset. Stores and spares, it is raw material, it is current asset. Loose tools, it is raw material, current asset. None of the above. So which is not a current asset? A, B, C, all are current assets. So answer is none of the above, D. Question number 30. Which among the following is not a current asset again? Loans and advances to related companies. Loans and advances to related companies. So it is a non-current asset. You should not take it as a current asset. Loans and advances given to sister concern, allied concern is called that is non-current assets. Long-term trade receivables, it is beyond 6 months. It is a non-current asset. Investments in unquoted shares, it is a non-current asset. Advances given for goods, it is a prepaid expense. I told you prepaid expenses has to be classified as current asset. The question is, which is not a non-current asset? So loans and advances to related companies is a non-current asset. Long-term receivables is a non-current asset. Investments in unquoted shares, it is a non-current asset. Advances given for goods, it is a prepaid expense, it is a current asset. So which is not a question is which is not a non-current asset. So answer option is D. Advances given for goods is not a non-current asset, it is a current asset. Question number 30, answer is D. Question number 31. Question number 31. Total assets of a firm are 100 lakhs. Term liability is 70 lakhs and net worth is 20 lakhs. The short-term sources of the firm is rupees. So you see how the question is there, how they framed the question. You see this question they asked last time. Total assets of the firm is 100 lakhs. If total assets is 100 lakhs, what is the total liabilities are? 100 lakhs. Okay. Term liability is 70 lakhs. Term liability is 70 lakhs and net worth is 20 lakhs. So, you know, the total liability, the liability side is divided into three categories. What are they? Net worth, then term liability, then current liability. Okay. Again, I repeat, keep in your mind or note it down. The liability side is called the sources of funds. The liability side is called the sources of the funds. The sources of the funds or the liability side is divided into three categories. What are they? Net worth, then term liability, then current liability. Now, what they are given, what they are asking you, they are given total assets. Total assets is 100. That means what is the total liability? Total liability is also 100. Total liability 100 means total sources is also 100, isn't it? What do you mean by total liability? Total liability means total sources. So 100 is the total liability. So that means total sources is 100. Then what they are given? So they are given term liability 70 lakhs. Term liability 70 lakhs. Then they are given net worth is 20 lakhs. So the total sources of the firm is 100 lakhs. That is a liability. Of which net worth is 20 and term liability is 70. When you add the net worth and term liability 70 plus 20, what you call it as? You call it as long-term sources. Again, I repeat, when you add the net worth and term liability, both put together is called long-term source. Then the current liability is the short-term source. So total source is 100. How you got total source is 100? Total liability is 100. How you got total liability is 100? Total asset is 100. When total asset is 100, total liability is also 100. Total source is 100. They are given you net worth 20. They are given you term liability 70. When you add net worth and term liability, it is called long-term sources. 100 is the total sources. Long-term sources is 90. The short-term source is 100 minus 90, 10. The short-term source is also known as the current liability. See, let us see the question. Total assets of the firm is 100 lakhs. Term liability is 70 lakhs and net worth is 20 lakhs. The short-term source of the firm is 10 lakhs. The answer should be A, how it is arrived. If total asset is 100 lakhs, total liability or total source is to be 100 lakhs, correct. Long-term source is equal to, what is long-term source? Net worth plus term liability. Net worth is given as 20, term liability is given as 70, totally 90. Short-term source, that is current liability, is equal to total source minus long-term source. Long-term source is 90 you got, total source 100 you got, 100 minus 90 is equal to 10. Okay, sir, this is the way you should understand the concept. You should be able to answer the question. Concepts understanding is very important. You can answer any question. These type of questions, they will get you. They will get you. This is major balance sheet analysis for you. Based on that, we'll be doing ratio analysis next session. But before that, there are 5 or 6 sums I have given. 1 or 2 I will show the PowerPoint presentation. Then for the balance, you have to prepare the balance sheet. For all the sums I have given, how much total asset and liability should be. When you draw the balance sheet, how much total asset and liability should come I have given. For example, for question number 32, it is total assets and liability should be 131. How it comes, I will show you a PowerPoint. Similarly, for question number 33, it should be 10,000 you should get. Question number 34, that is you should get 900. Then question number 35, you should get 1,170 both sides. Question number 36, it is 400. Question number 37, it is 164 you should get. Okay, 1 or 2 I will show. For example, very simple things I will show. For example, question number 34 I will show. First I will show. Arrange in balance sheet form the following. So question number 34, we are going to show you the PowerPoint presentation. Arrange the following in the balance sheet form. CC means cash credit, bank OD and cash credit. So what is that, sir? So cash credit and bank OD, where it will come? It will come under current liability. 1 minute, I will show the PowerPoint. You'll be able to understand the logic more. Okay. So this is this question. So we are seeing question number 34. Okay, question number 34 we are seeing. So question number 34 says, so cash credit, that is cash credit is 200. Let's see where it comes. Question number 34. Okay. Question number 34, you see, in this question number 34, so the cash credit is so we are drawn the balance sheet from the figure. So question number 34, all of you having in front of you. So I am having only in the power, that is in the slide, in the computer. All of you will be having in front of you. In front of you, it is told the first point in question number 34 is cash credit is 200. You see the balance sheet. Capital and resource on surplus is called a net worth. I have drawn the balance sheet. From question number 34, I have drawn the balance sheet like this. So you see in the question number 34, if it is given capital is 100, somewhere it will be there. So 100 I have brought under capital. Resource and surplus 350. Put together, it is a net worth 450. So capital and surplus is the net worth 450. Then term loan. Term loan, that is which is repayable beyond 12 years, 12 months, it is 100. So term liability is nothing but the term loan. So any figure is there, nothing is there, only one is the term loan, term liability is 100. Then cash credit. Cash credit is that is unpaid expenses, that is provisions. So cash credit means bank OD OCC. It is a current liability. Then unpaid expenses, that is it is nothing but the provision. So that is mentioned as 100. Sundry creditors. Sundry creditors, I told you it should be brought under current liability. So all the current liability is equal to 350. Then coming to the other side of the balance sheet, plant and machinery, it is 450. It is a fixed asset. So fixed asset is drawn as 450. Goodwill. Goodwill is an intangible asset. There is no non-current asset in the figures given to you. There is no non-current asset. So goodwill is 100. 100 is drawn. Intangible. So goodwill is an intangible. Then cash and bank balances. I told you it is a current asset. Cash and bank balance is 150. Stock, it is a current asset 200. So when you add, so it is a so total current asset is 350. 200 plus 150, 350. When you add all that is 450, 100 and 350, you get 900. This side is also 900. The total sources is 900. The total uses is 900. So out of the total sources, the long-term source will be net worth plus term liability. 450 plus 100, that is 550. Then that is short-term source is 350 is your current liability. So that is long-term uses will be fixed asset, non-current asset, intangible asset. Here non-current asset is not there. 450 plus 100, 550 is the long-term source. So long-term use. Then short-term use is the current asset, which is 350. Okay, so I request you to go through the remaining 4-5 questions where you have to draw the balance sheet. Please draw the balance sheet and see whether you are getting the answers, both the sides tally together. So the PowerPoint with regard to how to draw the balance sheet, what I discussed, I will upload to you in the evening. This you go through. Now, before going to the ratio analysis, we will finish the OL questions today. We will finish the OL questions today. Then we will take up the balance sheet analysis in the next ratio analysis next session. Now we are quickly going to go through, because friends, the official language is one important question. For all the levels question will come for you, maybe 2-3 questions will come. You should not miss any question. If you go through, see, first of all, official language. So let us not be under the impression official language means ABC regions only. How many correspondence? Many questions are there. So I made a question and answer in objective type. So I have given you the circular numbers. There is 472/2020. Then in 2021, bank has issued around 7-8 circulars on the official language. Please go through once. You have the exam only on 23rd. So if time permits, once you go through the circulars, then the OL policy of the bank is given in 232/2021. Then HO circulars 422, 441, 455, 483, 555, 583, 584, and 648. You see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 circulars are issued by the bank in the current year on the OL policy of the bank. So please go through basic things you may be aware. That also you have put in the question. What is given in these circulars also very important from the examiner point of view. He will choose any question. Okay. So you will not simply ask what is the percentage of letters to be returned A region to A region, A region to C region, etc. That is a substantive clerk exam. For you, higher level questions will be there. So let us see. Hindi was declared as official language of the Union on which date? So September 14th, 1949. So Hindi was declared as official language of the Union of India on 14th September 1949. That is why September month is called Hindi month. So September 14th is called Hindi Divas. Okay, Hindi Divas is September 14. Hindi month is month of September. So September 14, 1949, you should remember Hindi was declared as official language. Then 4 years are there. These years also you should know. Official policy of Government of India came into effect from which date? So 26th January 1950. It is not September 14, 1949. So the official policy of Government of India came into effect from which date? 26th January 19. That is your first republic, isn't it? Republic Day. Then Official Language Act was passed in which year? 1963. Official language rules were framed in the year 1970. There are 4 years, sir. Okay, so you should know for which one is correct. So Hindi was declared as official language 14th September 1949. That is why we are calling September as Hindi month and September 14th as the Hindi Divas. Then official policy of the Government of India official language policy of the Government of India came into effect on this date. Official Language Act was passed in this year. Official language rules were framed in the year. So these 4 years, you remember, any question asked, you should not have an ambiguity over that. Then another important question, the ministry that oversees the implementation of the official language. So we most of us may be thinking it is the finance ministry. No, the ministry that oversees the official implementation of the official language is Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India. Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India. Okay, this is very important. Question number 6. Town Official Language Implementation Committee, TOLIC. So TOLIC expansion I have given. That is Town Official Language Implementation Committee to be conducted how many times in a year? So 2 times in a year. The gap between one and another one should not be more than 6 months, for example. So you should not conduct one meeting in April and another meeting in next March. So the gap between the 2 meetings with 6 months it should be there. Okay. So town official language. What is the town official language? TOLIC. You heard of the TOLIC, isn't it? Then what is the town official? You know, 2 meetings to be conducted, and then the gap between one meeting and the other should be minimum 6 months. If you conduct in April, the next meeting you should conduct in September. Before that, you should not conduct. So if you conduct in April, the next meeting you can conduct in September. So the gap between two meetings of TOLIC should be minimum 6 months. Then 2 meetings in a year, minimum you should conduct. Then what is TOLIC? So Town Official Language Implementation Committee. So TOLIC ought to be formed in all towns of the country where there are 10 or more central government offices are functioning. In all towns of the country where 10 or more central government offices are functioning, including banks, 10 or more central bank offices are functioning, all of them will come together and they will join, they will conduct an Hindi meeting. Okay, they will conduct various cultural programs and various other things. That is called TOLIC, Town Official Language Implementation Committee. So you should know two. And not only that, the two should be, the gap between the meetings should be minimum 6 months. One more point in TOLIC also, TOLICs ought to be formed in all towns of the country where 10 or more central government offices are functioning. Okay, so from TOLIC, we got 3 questions. Question number 8. Hindi Salakar Samiti committee to be conducted in year how many? So like TOLIC, that Hindi Salakar Samiti meeting to be conducted 2 in a year, but there is no restriction. The meeting one, the gap between one meeting and another meeting should be minimum 6. That is not here. That is available only for TOLIC. Here it is 2. Then how many TOLICs? Earlier that is TOLIC. There was no concept called TOLIC. We have only OLIC. OLIC means Official Language Implementation Committee. Earlier, we had the concept called Official Language Implementation Committee. Now we got the point, Departmental Official Language Committee. Implementation Committee, Departmental Official Language Implementation Committee. So instead of Official Language Implementation Committee, now we got Departmental Official Language Implementation Committee. Official Language Implementation Committee to be conducted in year how many? 4, once in a quarter. Once in a calendar quarter, we have to conduct the Departmental Official Language Implementation Committee. Who is the ex officio chairman of Departmental Official Language Implementation Committee in the branches? The branch in charge. The branch in charge is the head of Departmental ex officio chairman of the Departmental Official Language Implementation Committee in the branches, branch head. The next question, what is the percentage of noting in Hindi in a region? So that is noting is there, no? For example, they will pass the order at that time, noted, or they will write, that is please proceed. So the various notings are there. So what is the percentage of noting should be in Hindi? There are 3 regions are there. Next paragraph, we will discuss about which region, how many regions are there, in which region, which state is there. In that region, how many circle offices of our bank is there? That also we will see. So what is the percentage of noting in Hindi in a region? In a region, the noting should be 75%. This question they asked this time. So for A region, the noting should be 75%. For B region, it should be 50%. And for C region, it is 30%. So 75, 50, and 30. Noting in Hindi. In A region, B region, C region. You note it down. Then percentage of training program through Hindi medium in A, B, C, and regions are conducted how much? So 70% of the training programs in A region should be in Hindi. So 60% of the training programs in B region should be in Hindi. 30% of the training programs in C region should be in Hindi. So here if you see 70, 50, 30, here 70, 60, 30. So 75, 50, 30. Here you got 70, 60, 30. For C region, both the places, it is 30%. So remember it, you answer the question accordingly. World Hindi Day is celebrated every year on today, 10th January. Okay, World Hindi Day, when it is celebrated, so not only India is celebrating Hindi Day, the world is also celebrating Hindi Day. So today is the World Hindi Day, 10th January. So Hindi Divas in India, it is 14th September. Hindi month is September. Then World Hindi Day is celebrated throughout the world on 10th January. Then question number 14. What is the name of the Hindi magazine published by Canara Bank head office? It is Can Jyoti. So the name of the Hindi magazine published by the OL section of Head Office Bangalore is called Can Jyoti. Then Hindi Pakwara. See, that is celebrated every year. That is Hindi fortnight. You tell me when customer fortnight is celebrated in the bank, when customer fortnight is celebrated, the customer fortnight is celebrated between 15th to 30th of November every year. Customer fortnight is celebrated between 15th to 30th of November every, so 16th to 30th. 16th to 30th of November every year is the customer fortnight, 15 days. When customer day is celebrated in the bank? On 15th of the month. Customer day is celebrated on 15th of the month. If 15th of the month is a holiday, when customer day has to be celebrated? Next working day. These questions they will ask. So customer fortnight is celebrated between 16th to 30th of November. Customer day is celebrated in the bank every month, 15th of the month. If 15th is a holiday, customer day has to be celebrated on the next working day. When staff meeting has to be conducted in the bank, staff meeting, third Friday. Isn't it? Third Friday of every month, staff meeting will be conducted. If that day is a holiday, it has to be conducted on the previous working day. So whereas customer day should be conducted on 15th of the month, if 15th of the month is a holiday, it has to be conducted on next working day. What is the time during which customer meet has to be conducted every month? Between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. Okay, so this is with regard to customer day and customer fortnight and staff meeting. With regard to that is your what do you say? Hindi fortnight, it is conducted between 1st to 14th September. On 14th September, we will coincide it with the Hindi Divas. So prize winners will be called, some speakers will be called, there will be a meeting will be there, isn't it? Hindi fortnight is celebrated between 1st to 14th of September every year. Question number 16. Hindi, okay. State level security standing committee in Hindi is organized by whom once in a year. So it is organized by Reserve Bank of India. They may ask you any question. Who will organize? Reserve Bank of India. What is a periodicity? Once in a year. All the banks will be called. So Reserve Bank will be having a meeting. State level security standing committee is organized by whom once in a year? Reserve Bank of India. The article of the constitution dealing with the official languages are, which is the sections, various sections are there. In the article we have a lot of, in the constitution we have a lot of sections, articles. The articles of the constitution dealing with the official language is sections 343 to 351. Articles from 343 to 351 talks about Hindi. Hindi, how to be implemented, how there is name board should be there, how the letterhead should be there. Everything is discussed in the articles between 343 to 351. Okay, sir. Question number 18. How many states and union territories are in a region? So you should know totally India is having how many states and union territories, out of which how many are in a region. There are 11 states and union territories are in a region. So Bihar, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Uttar Pradesh, Delhi, Haryana, Rajasthan, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand. So these 11 states or union territories are called a region. A region is called Hindi-speaking states. B and C regions are called non-Hindi speaking states. Okay, A region means the 11 states or union and territories which are brought under A region, they are called Hindi speaking states or union territories. The states and union territories in B and C region are called non-Hindi speaking states and regions. So we have 11 states and union territories. No, there are 11 states. How many circle offices of our bank in these 11 states or union territories? Circle officers of our bank in these 11 states and union territories are 8 circle officers. So there are 8 circle officers available. 11 states are divided for our bank purpose into 8 circle officers. If they ask, you should not miss it. In A region, how many circle officers of Canara Bank is there? We have 8 circle officers. Then, which region is called Hindi-speaking region? Answer is A. So, A region is called Hindi-speaking region. B and C are non-Hindi-speaking regions. Punjab is in which region? So, Punjab is in B region. So, which are all in B region? You should know. Maharashtra, Gujarat, Punjab, Chandigarh, Daman and Diu, and Dadar Nagar Haveli, they are all in B region. So Punjab is in B region. So you know what is in A region and what is in B region. The remaining states and union territories are in C regions. So that means you should know the entire names of states and union territories in India. So besides these things, the left out things are in C region. Okay, sir. So out of the 11 states, we have 8 circle offices. Coming to B region, how many states are, that is in B region, there are how many? So we have in B region, that is we have Maharashtra, Gujarat, Punjab, Chandigarh, so sorry, there is Maharashtra, Gujarat, Punjab, Chandigarh, Daman and Diu, Nagarhar, 6. Okay, 6 states and union territories are there. How many circle offices of Canara Bank is there in B region? There are 4 circle offices. So in A region, we have 8 circle offices. In B region, we have 4 circle offices. These questions they asked last time. Okay, people came and told, so these questions where it is. It is in HO circular only. Okay, sir. Question number that is 22. There are dash circle offices of our bank in C region 12. So totally how many circle offices we are having on today? 8 plus 4, 12, another 12, 24. So how the circle offices are divided? In A region we have 8, in B region we have 4 circle offices, and in C region we have 12 circle offices. Okay, sir. Then dash percentage of letters are to be sent in Hindi from A region to C region. All of you are aware. See, from A region, you start from A region, A to A 100, A to B 100, and A to C 65. No problem. Okay. How many in Hindi from A region to C region? So A to A, it is 100. A to B, it is 100. A to C should be 55. I have made it 65 wrongly. So you made it as 55. So A to A 100, A to B 100, A to C 55. Then B to A 90, B to B 90, B to C 55. Then C to A 55, C to B 55, and C to C 55. So these numbers you have to by heart, no other go. If they ask this question, you should be able to answer. Then, as per which rule number, all letters received in Hindi to be replied in Hindi? Rule number 5. Okay, note in mind, all letters received from Hindi, whichever it is the region, A region, B region, C region, whatever may be the region, all letters received from Hindi to be replied in Hindi only. This is as per rule number 5. Okay. Official language rules are applicable to all the states and union territories of India other than Tamil Nadu. Official language rules are applicable to, for example, I told you all letters received in Hindi to be replied in Hindi only as per rule number. Suppose if you Tamil Nadu has got a letter in Hindi, it is not necessary you should reply in Hindi, reply in Tamil also. Okay, official language rules are applicable to all states and union territories other than for Tamil Nadu. Then, when an employee is considered as obtained proficiency in Hindi, when an employee is considered as that he has obtained proficiency in Hindi, he is considered as obtained proficiency in Hindi provided he passed matriculation with Hindi as medium of examination. So if he has passed the matriculation in Hindi as the medium of examination, then he is considered as obtained proficiency in Hindi. Friends, for Hindi, so lot of 9 circulars are issued by the bank. From these circulars, these questions I have pulled down. So there is a possibility some more questions, different questions also may be asked. Please go through, these are very simple circulars, go through once. Any point I have left out in this presentation, you may get it over there. So if you read all the 9 circulars, you are sure of getting 3-4 marks. Okay, you should not miss it. Number 26, passed matriculation with Hindi as medium of examination. Then, when an employee passed 10th standard or matriculation with Hindi, one of the subjects, he is considered as obtained working knowledge in Hindi. Here you see proficiency in Hindi. He should have passed matriculation with Hindi as medium of examination. That means he has written in the matriculation exam all the subjects other than English in Hindi. So medium of instruction. So then he has obtained proficiency in Hindi. On the other hand, working knowledge in Hindi. There is a difference between proficiency in Hindi and working knowledge in Hindi. Proficiency means Hindi, you have to write that exam in Hindi medium. Okay, whereas proficiency in Hindi means when an employee passes 10th standard matriculation with Hindi as one of the subjects. If he has passed 10th standard as matriculation with Hindi as one of the subjects, then he is considered as obtained working knowledge in Hindi. The difference between the two you should know. Okay, sir. Question number 27, I have given the answer. Question number 28. Hindi language written in which script is the official language of the Union of India. Devanagari is the script in which the Hindi language is written. Then the order of language in the nameplates of our bank in B and C region should be, Canara Bank, there is nameplate you have seen, no, before the branch premises. In what order it should be written? If it is in A region, it should be first Hindi followed by, that is English. If it is in A region, first Hindi followed by English, that's all. A region is called Hindi speaking states, no other regional language, only Hindi. So in A region, the name board should contain first Canara Bank in Hindi should come, followed by Canara Bank in English over. In B and C regions, for example, your branch is in Punjab or your branch is in Tamil Nadu. In that case, first the regional language. So Punjabi or there is Tamil will come first, followed by Hindi, and third one is English. Okay, the question is the order of language in the nameplates of our bank in region B and C should be. B and C region, you should be regional language, Hindi and English. In A region, you should be Hindi and English only. Okay. Percentage of dictation to be given in Hindi in A and B, C region, 65, 55, and 30. So what we saw, percentage of noting, percentage of training in Hindi medium, then percentage of letters written from one region to another region. Then we saw then we are seeing percentage of dictation to be given in A, B, C regions. So 65, 55, and 30%. Question number 31. To encourage, so this question they asked last time, people have come out and tell where it is. It is there in your HO circular. To encourage branches, offices, sections, and wings to foresee progress in the implementation of official language in the other bank formulated. That is, offices and branches have to use Hindi you have to propagate Hindi. So for that, there is a scheme in our bank. Bank has also come out with various awards under the scheme. What is the name of the scheme? To encourage branches, offices, and sections and wings to foresee progress in the implementation of official language Hindi, our bank formulated. Canara Bank. So our bank has formulated Canara Bank Rajbhasha Akshaya Yojana, Canara Bank Rajbhasha Puraskar Yojana, A and B, none of these. So in which year it is formulated? It is formulated in the year 1987. So what is the name of the scheme? So to make the branches and offices to participate, the name of the scheme is Canara Bank Rajbhasha Akshaya Yojana. So for question number 31, answer is A. So Canara Bank Rajbhasha Akshaya Yojana is the scheme formulated by Canara Bank to encourage branches, offices, and sections and wings to foresee progress in the implementation of the official language. So this is given in HO Circular 472/2020, and it is formulated in the year 1987. So wherever I have given at least against the question, the circular numbers, please go through once. I can only make an appeal to you. You should get 70 marks, 80 marks because competition is very tough, isn't it? Please go through 472/2020. Then to motivate our employees to use maximum of Hindi in their day-to-day official work, So there is a scheme. So to motivate branches officers to use Hindi, we have a scheme called the Canara Bank Rajbhasha Akshaya Yojana. To motivate employees to use Hindi, to participate in the Hindi. So there is a scheme. That scheme is called Canara Bank Rajbhasha Purashkar Yojana. So Canara Bank Rajbhasha Akshaya Yojana is for branches and offices. Canara Bank, that is Rajabhasha Purashkar Yojana, is for employees. So the difference between the two is given here, 472 by 2020. Then 33. For the Best Circle Award under Canara Bank Akshaya Yojana, I told you, question to motivate these branches, officers, it is Canara Bank Akshaya Yojana. For the Best Circle Award under Canara Bank, award under Rajabhasha Akshaya Yojana, circles in the bank are divided into A, B, C. So A region, how many circles are there, sir? A region. Okay, so how many circle officers are there? 12 circle officers. B region, how many circle officers are there? That is 4. That is we have seen, no? And then C regions, again 12 circle officers. For Best Circle Award under Rajabhasha Akshaya Yojana, circles of the bank is divided into A, B, C categories, and as per which under C category there are 12 circle officers. Please go through 483 by 2021. So please go through 483 because under A region how many, under B region how many circles, what is the number of awards, everything is given in 483 by 2021. This question they asked last time. Okay, question number 34. Employees, excluding substaff, working in offices situated in A and B regions are eligible for prizes under Canara Bank Rajabhasha. What is the Canara Bank Rajabhasha Purashkar Yojana, sir? To motivate the employees. So employees, substaff is not eligible. Employees excluding substaff working in offices situated in A and B regions are eligible for prizes and Canara Bank Rajabhasha Purashkar Yojana if they have used minimum dashboards in Hindi in their official work during the financial year, 25,000 words. So for A and B region, Canara Bank Rajabhasha Purashkar Yojana, A and B region excluding substaff, if they use 25,000 words, they are eligible for award. Where it is given 483 by 2021, same circular, 483 by 2021. In C region, if they are in C region, if they use Hindi 15,000 words in a financial year, they are eligible for award. What is the price? First price is 1,000, second price is 700, third price is 500. So please go through 483 by 2021. So Canara Bank Rajabhasha Purashkar Yojana, it is for, that is employees excluding substaff in A and B region 25,000 words and C region 15,000 words. The first price is 1,700, second price 500 is the third price. 483 by 2021 circles are divided into 3 regions. Please go through the circular. Then question number 35. IT initiative in the field of official language implementation in the bank is Shabda Ratana. In word processor, it is called the Shabda Ratana. In MS Office, it is called Akruti. Then the in-house distance education program of Canara Bank. That is Canara Can Bank Hindi Patrachar Patrikya. Okay, question number 36. This is the answer. Question number 37. Which is not relevant with regard to OL policy of the bank for the year 2021-22. The best performing Tallying will be awarded Rajabhasha Kriti Purashkar at national level and the Rajabhasha Purashkar at the regional level by Department of Official Language. That is correct. Point number B. The quarterly progress report on Hindi has to be sent by the bank to the Department of Official Language online within 30 days from the completion of the quarter. That is also correct. Annual assessment report to be sent by the bank by 30th June. That is also correct. None of these, all of these. So which is not relevant? Okay, which is not relevant? All are relevant. That means none of them are not relevant. So all are relevant. A is correct, B is correct, C is correct. So none of these. Question number 37, answer is D, none of these. That means which is not relevant. All of them are relevant. Okay, question number 38. As per rule dash of OL rule 1976, manuals and rubber stamps are to be in Hindi and English. Rule number 11. What is rule number 5? Letters written from one region in Hindi to be addressed to be replied in Hindi only. Rule number 5. Rule number 11 says that is your manuals, circulars, rubber stamp, etc. should be bilingual. Okay, question number 39. Hindi translation of generally used English sentence has been provided by departmental official language on its website under the heading. Answer is under the heading that is E Saral Hindi Vakya Kosh. E Saral Hindi Vakya Kosh. Okay, so you should know that. Then question number 40. What is the minimum duration of Hindi workshops as per HOs? Please go through the circular. So I have written here 3-4 circulars. Please go through. Which is what is the minimum duration of Hindi workshops as per HO Circular 441 by 2021. Minimum duration is 1 day. Minimum duration is 1 day. Then every employee having knowledge in Hindi must be provided to attend the workshop at least once in 2 years. So having knowledge in Hindi to attend the program at least once in 2 years. I have told you about working knowledge in Hindi, proficiency in Hindi. Okay, so the difference also you should be able to know. Then question number 42. Workmen employees and officers in scale 1 to scale 4 are to be included in the Hindi workshop. Workmen employees and officers in scale 1 to scale 4 1 and 2 scale 4 are to be included in the Hindi workshop. Then one Hindi workshop to be organized at every regional office and circle office once in a quarter. All those things are given in HO Circular 441/21. One Hindi workshop to be organized in every regional and circle office once in a quarter. Question number 44. The honorarium payable to the serving employees of central and state governments, guest trainers. Suppose if you are conducting the Hindi workshop, you can call the guest faculty from central and state government. If they are working there, serving employee, what is the honorarium you have to pay to them? The honorarium payable to the serving employees of central and state governments who are conducting Hindi workshop is rupees 500 per session of 75 minutes duration. Total payable in a year should not exceed 5,000 rupees. Okay, at that point. Point number 45. The fees payable to other than serving employees. Let's say I'm a retired employee. You are calling me to conduct a Hindi. If I know Hindi, I'll come and take a Hindi program. The fees payable to other than serving employees is rupees 1,000 per session of 75 minutes without any upper limit in a if he's a serving employee, you will give him 500 rupees with a maximum of 5,000 in a year. If he's a retiring employee, guest trainers, you will give them 1,000 per session of 75 minutes without any upper ceiling. Question number 45, 46. We'll finish it today. We'll call it a day. All India Canara Bank Infra Bank Online Official Language Seminar was organized on 25th June 2021, wherein an article in Hindi to be submitted by participating employees. The name of the topic is Cyber Security Measures and Awareness. Cyber Security Measures and Awareness, HO Circular 422/2021. What is the time limit for submission of STR 18 Part 1 by branches to OL cell of region circle office every quarter? See, STR 18. So very important statement is statutory return. Statutory return, we call it as STR. STR 18 gives the progress in Hindi, branches, offices, sections, etc. So it consists of two parts, part 1 and part 2. So branches have to submit only part 1. It is a quarterly. Every quarter you have to conduct departmental official language implementation committee. So similarly, every calendar quarter, STR 18 to be submitted by branches. Branches to submit to RO. If the branches are directly coming under circle office, they have to submit to circle office. Then what is that part 2? Part 2 is to be submitted by certain administrative units along with March quarter. So STR 18 is part 1 and part 2. Branches have to submit only part 1 online in SAS package every quarter. Part 2 to be submitted by certain administrative officers, not for all quarters, along with the March quarter 1 day. Now the question is, what is the time limit for online submission of STR 18 Part 1 by branches to the OL cell of regions or circle offices every quarter on or before 10th of the succeeding month? Where it is given 455 by 2021 and 648 by 21. So branches have to submit on or before 10. Regional office to consolidate and submit to circle office within 15th of the succeeding month, and HO to submit. So and the CO to submit to HO within 25th. Then HO to submit to Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Home Affairs on or before 30th of the succeeding month. So the idea is STR 18 Part 1 branches to submit on or before 10th of the succeeding month. It is a quarterly. Then RO to circle office within 5th of the succeeding month, and circle office to HO within 25th of the succeeding month. Then head office to Ministry of Home Affairs on or before 30th of the succeeding month. Okay, sir. Then STR Part 2 18 to be submitted along with Part 1 of which quarter? So we who has to submit? Circle office to submit Part 2, regional office to submit Part 2, LDC, that is LDC, that is Learning and Development Center. The earlier name was RSTC. LDC to submit, then your CIBM Manipal Apex Training College to submit Part 2 along with Part 1 only for March quarter. Then 49, incentive for obtaining PhD in Hindi or equivalent is rupees 30,000. In that circular 583, they are given incentive for that is you say MPhil, etc. So please go through this circular. So I have given only 1 point from the circular. Incentives for obtaining PhD in Hindi or equivalent is rupees 30,000. If you have done PhD, sorry, MPhil, or you have done MA in PhD, what is the incentive you will get? Please go through 583/21. So these circulars are issued in the month of September 21. Your exam is only in the month of January 22. Questions will be there. So my request to all the people is at least the circular numbers which I have mentioned against the questions, please go through. Please don't forget to go through 583/2021 because I have given only PhD, which is 30,000. You have 25,000, 10,000, 3-4 courses also. Please go through it. And the last question for the day, what is the cash incentive for employees for passing Pragant examination conducted by Hindi teaching scheme for attaining proficiency in Hindi if they get marks 70 and above? If they get marks 70 and above, they will get 10,000. If they get marks 60% and above up to 69, they will get 7,000. If they get mark 55% and above up to 59%, they will get 4,000 marks or 4,000 rupees. It is given in HO circular 584/2021. So these are all the 9-10 circulars issued by the bank. From there, so we have collected the maximum questions we have placed before you in form of the question answer. Answer is also given. I will post the answers also shortly for all the question papers. But my humble request is please go through the circulars. Only 9 circulars are there. So if I, for example, I told you, for question number 49, incentive for that is obtaining PhD. What is the incentive for obtaining MPhil? That the amount is mentioned. Okay, please go through 583, 584, all those things. So, okay, friends, it is 9 o'clock over there. Maybe around it is going to be 8:57. So it is 4:30 over here in Germany. So we'll wind up the session. The next session, I want to complete for you the ratio analysis. Ratio analysis, few questions will be expected for you. Then different types of ratios. Then I'll be taking up and completing a topic on recovery. That is where NPA, SMA, provisioning norm, and then SURFASI Act. That also will be completing. I think with that mostly I'll be completing the topics given to me. So with that, so we'll concluding. When the organizer gives me the next class, we will see. So meanwhile, my request to is Hindi, you go through these circulars. Also, the balance sheet analysis, I have given you 4-5 questions. Last one, that was test paper number 6. Please, there is work out these sums. The total liability and asset sides I have given. If anybody is not able to know, please let me know. I will tell you how to do it. Okay, thank you very much for your patience hearing. We'll meet in the next session. Thank you, friends. நம்ம